What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. In the offseason, when we signed James Daniels, like most of y'all, I was excited. We did a story about him yesterday, and I was excited because I thought we got a guard that we can win with, right? James is 28 years old, been in the league, played with Pittsburgh, hard-nosed organization, seemed like a very logical pickup, right? Then he played 3 snaps and got hurt. And Jeremy Fowler and everybody reported pec injury, no surgery, should be back in a month, right? Now we're 3 months in, he's still not back. Don't know if he's going to play back this year. Doesn't know if he's going to come back and play this year. But I had to look at the contract situation because we gave him a 3-year deal. He's the only guy we gave a 3-year deal to this offseason. We gave a 2-year deal out and a bunch of 1-year deals, but he got a 3-year contract because we had so much faith in him. 3 years, $24 million, right? This year, he's already got paid 8.2 of that 24 million. So that's gone. Can't get it back. Here's what I discovered. If we cut him next year or next offseason before the year starts, we don't owe him any more money. I was shocked to see how his contract was set up. Basically, if he's on the team after March, we owe him his roster bonus, which is like, I think it's 3.2 million, something like that. And if we cut him, our dead cap is only 4.8 million. That's it. Not per year, total. And if we cut him after June 1st, we can split that 4.8 over 2 years. So it's not even like, oh man, he's killing our cap 4 million this year. It would only count 1.2 against the cap for next year. The year that we're going to start the rebuild, he won't be this anchor. Now, obviously, there's more the second year, but that's crazy. I'm thinking this is like, 3 years, probably at least half of it guaranteed. So 3 years, 24 million, 12 plus whatever guaranteed. No, we actually, I don't know if we did this contract this way because he was injured when we signed him, which is factual. And a lot of people said he's a good player if he can play. That's what everybody said in the offseason. You can say that about Darren Waller as well. Really good player if he can play. If James Daniels had been able to play, he will be a good guard for us, and our team will probably be better on the offensive line. If he can play. If he has not been able to play. He literally has only played 3 snaps for us this year. But now, this offseason, we can get off the number. It won't be punitive going forward. It's not like trying to cut Tua and then getting a $99 million hit. It isn't like some of our other players. This contract, pretty easy to move off of. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but I'm saying it's something to consider. Let's say we sign him for next year, right? Roster bonus is guaranteed in March. We let him play next year. He gets the second half of that, 6-7 million. There's a lot of money going into it, betting on the fact that he's going to play. If he does play, though, $8 million a year for a starting guard seems like a pretty good bargain. That's the thing. If we get rid of him, we have to replace him with a rookie because anybody you go out and sign in free agency is going to be expensive or a 1-year rental. So if you want long-term stability, yes, you can draft and develop a rookie. We're doing that with Jonah. We see how that's going. Not particularly well. So either we don't have a good eye for guards or Jonah's just not a good player. We don't have a history of drafting and developing guards well. And any free agent guard that's worth his, weight in gold is going to want his weight in gold. And we ain't got gold. We got sterling silver. We don't got that kind of money. So I can see if the team wants to roll the dice again for next year and just hope he's healthy. Like, hey, we knew you were coming off an injury. The injury he just suffered this year with us is not the one he had last year. So now you have 2 basically season-ending injuries back-to-back years on your upper and lower half of your body. And you're 28 going on 29. Like, that's red flags everywhere. A lot of red flags. However, if he can stay healthy and play, we think we have a guard that can start for the next 2 years. I don't know what they're going to do, but I do know that contract-wise, one of the easier contracts to get out of, and it won't hurt us going forward. But it depends on how much the new regime really values him. We will have basically for the rest of this year until March to decide what we're going to do. So it's not like we have to make the decision today or even this season. He might eventually need pec surgery. Or there may have been more damage than we knew, and we got bad reporting, bad x-rays. Who knows? I tell you this, if he gets offseason surgery, I don't know how you bring him back. Because we brought him back this year, and all offseason it was like he's on schedule. He's getting healthier. He's on schedule. We said, okay, we'll see. All right, this is a lot. But given how many bad contracts he's given out, I mean, this feels like the Kendall Fuller contract all over again. $8 million a year. We thought you could fill in. He got a 2-year deal, but James got 3. Fill in. Hey, you might be starting, and then we get Jalen Ramsey to be like the big dog, and all of a sudden Kendall Fuller just couldn't play. And then we said, get out of there. Because while we can't keep paying for you not to play, that's a bad investment. I can't even tell you if I like or don't like James. I haven't seen him. I don't feel anything. He feels more like a Pittsburgh Steeler to me than he does a Miami Dolphin player. That's not talking smack. It's just factual. 3 plays that's nothing right now. And maybe he can come back and be a good force for us, but I think it's as likely he gets cut as he gets brought back. We did a lot of stuff in the draft this year to address our biggest concern, which we thought was the defensive line because the D-line was awful. And we addressed the guard situation as well. It just didn't quite work out. So one of the guys we got in the 7th round was Zeke Biggers, which is the coolest last name in the world. Your last name is Biggers. That's awesome. And Zeke has been basically on the practice squad, effectively G League of our team, most of the year. But he got brought up against the Commanders, and he flashed. He had 7 sacks. He had 7 tackles in the game, and the eyeball test said, hey, that guy's got some juice. And so I don't know how much more he's going to play going forward because the D line position now has become like kind of oversaturated between Jordan, between Kenneth, between Zach, and now him. A lot of guys being rotated in and that position. And he's only played like 40 snaps for the whole season. It's not like he's gotten a ton of work. So given his production per volume, it seems like if you give this guy more time, he could be a bigger force. But also, Jordan's been really good when he's gotten a little bit of time. So it's like, and he's a higher draft pick. So what do you do there? Also, your number 1 draft pick plays the same position, and we need him to start making production. So you can't take the number 1 pick out to put him in, and then Jordan's been showing you he's a good player up to this point. He's already shown you flashes, so you don't want to take him out. The problem right now is we don't play a 3 defensive tackle D-line. Play 2 tackles, 2 ends, and then we have linebackers. So because we do that, you have to take out Zach or Kenneth for Zeke to play more, basically. And you never want to take Zach off the field because Zach is the dude, right? And Kenneth needs all the reps he can get because he has not performed up to the level that we expect of him yet. But Zeke is showing I need some more time. So Coach Weaver talked about what they expect of players who were on the practice squad, who were on the scout team and that kind of thing, and how they expect development there because you can get called up, drop of a hat. How many injuries have we had this year? How many people have we called up because people have gotten hurt? So here's what he had to say about that. I think you saw his growth and maturation each week of the season. Obviously, he wasn't getting reps with the starters on defense, but where you saw that growth and maturation was on the show team and the way he was competing and the way he was making plays against our offense. Or so it's a tale you'll see over and over again. So he said show team. Show team in this case is basically like they're the players you play against that are on your kind of scout team. So he was the one on the show team playing against our starters because we don't want our starting defense going up against our starting offense all the time because you don't want those guys to wear themselves out. But they said there he was making flashes, and that's what allowed him to get to the real field. And that's all you can do. All you can do is take advantage of opportunities when you're given. Sometimes you'll sit on a practice squad for years. Sometimes you'll be 5th on the depth chart, and you don't know if you'll ever play. And then a year like this will happen where we've lost basically 4 to 5 DBs for the year. And all of a sudden you're DB6 and you're like, yo, am I getting burned right now? And when you come in, you got to show up. Juju Brents did that before he got injured. All year he's been kind of riding the pine, way down the depth chart. Finally got his real start against Buffalo, played the best game of the season, and then unfortunately got hurt. But for that one game, that little flash he showed was like, hey, If this guy's healthy, he could be somebody. I don't know if Zeke is going to have that level game. I don't think he'll get enough snaps to really do that. And again, knock on wood for Zach and for Kenneth, but I love the idea that he kept flashing so much on the scout team that we had to put him in the starting lineup and that we had to get him some burn and we had to get him out here to play. That means that he's doing something well. That kind of intangible plays well going forward. If we ever down the line want to trade Zach, which I hope we don't, but if that does happen just because of cap stuff, these kind of moments show up. Because then a team may say, you know what, Zach is better than Zeke, but Zeke's a 7th-round pick. We're not paying him any money for 3 years. We can, if he can give us 80% production at $20 million to, I didn't even look at Zeke's contract, but the 7th-round pick, 600 grand, 7 max. It might even be a little bit less than that. I think the league minimum was like 350. So let's say he gets 500,000 a year. Let's just say that's the number. And Zach's getting 20 million. That's 40x the money. Like, if we can get 80% of the production and reduce our cost at a position by 40x, like, you can see how a team down the line can make a move, right? Your moment is not now. Your time is not now. But down the line, maybe. One of the things we've talked about as a team and the media and all that is some of the struggles Tua's had this year. Tua's, I think, still tied for league in picks. I don't know if Gino threw a pick on Monday night. I don't remember if he did or not. But going into that game, him and Gino were tied for the league in picks, which is, again, ridiculous. And some of it has been the offensive line hasn't been great because people like James Daniels haven't been playing. So Tua hasn't felt protected. The second thing is Tyreek got hurt. And Tyreek being hurt changes the whole offense because teams now don't have to back up as far. They can kind of sit on those short routes. It became a whole thing. And the third part was that Tua's confidence has seemed shaky at times this year. He hasn't looked confident in the pocket. His legs haven't looked good. He's had to see players get open before he threw it a lot of times, when Tua's superpower is anticipating openness and then throwing the ball. And then while they turn, the ball's already there. He makes up for lack of arm strength with tremendous anticipation. And he hasn't done it this year. And he's thrown a lot more picks because he's just not at his game. So quarterback coach and he's quarterback coach is his main job, but he's also like the passing game coordinator. But quarterback coach is his main situation. Darrell Bevell talks about some of the things he's seen and some of the reasons why Tua struggled. He echoes some of what I said. He says, there's things that the defense presents to us. There's players in certain positions, obviously, that we're trying to put in situations to give them opportunities down the field. I think back to the 2 in the Buffalo game. We got the exact look that we were looking for. And we said, if we get this look, this is what I want you to do. So Tua's following the instructions. What this sounds like is Darrell Bevell is trying to say on some level, don't put all of it on Tua. Some of it is on us. We're saying if we see a single high and we got Jalen Waddle on this side, that's effectively one-on-one coverage and throw the deep ball to Jalen Waddle. Now, sometimes the defense makes a play. Like the safety maybe is feigning playing middle zone and is really just going to it's immediately sprint to where Jalen Waddle's side is. And now what you have basically is like double coverage. And so they throw the ball up, it's picked off, arm punt. Oh, what are you going to do? They fooled us with the coverage. Sometimes Tua has not made a good throw, which is a thing. But he's saying our film study told us they're going to do this, and we're going to counter it by doing that. Tua is doing the counter, and the counter is not always working out, which means that either the coach is being fooled, Tua maybe not is placing the ball properly, or the defense is just doing tremendous work. What I've seen is a lot of overthrows. That's what I've seen. There's been a couple times where guys like flashed in front of Tua, made a pick. I think the Colts game comes to mind. But most of them have been not accurate passes. So as much as Darrell Bevell, I think, is trying to take some of the blame, like, hey, you probably think, why did Tua throw the ball across the middle? The linebacker was right there. Well, we told him to do it, and he's just doing what we told him to do. Yeah, but the pick wasn't because he threw it over the middle. It's because he overthrew the receiver, and the ball floated into the pick. It wasn't that it was a bad call. It was a bad execution. Sometimes there are guys sitting in zones. And here's why I push back on this. Here's the real reason. Going into this year, Coach McDaniel and everybody around the team said Tua's taking a more ownership as the starting quarterback. Up to this point, he's basically been executing what he's been told to do. Like Coach McDaniel's like, hey, I'll handle the checks, I'll handle the motion. You just 1, 2, 3. The slant's gonna be open. Throw the slant. Tua said, "Will do," and it's been open because Tyreek and Jalen are so fast. They get to their spot faster than the DB can. Boom, boom, boom. And they said this year Tua's gonna take more ownership at the line of scrimmage. He's gonna call our protections better. He's gonna make adjustments. He's going to, move his running backs and determine where motion goes because that's what being a top flight quarterback is. He's being paid like one. He's going to act like one. And what I heard from Coach Bevel is it's not on him. He's just kind of following what we told him to do. And that feels like the opposite way he said in the offseason. Because if I was told, hey, the slant's going to be open, and I go back to throw it and I can see a linebacker just sitting in the zone, don't throw the slant. Go to your second read. That's why you have multiple reads. You don't just go to the first one's not open. Like first read, nope, not open. Second read, and then in his case, bail. I don't want Tua staying in the pocket doing anything crazy. But just the idea that we told him to throw it, he threw it, and he got picked off. Man, what are you going to do? I don't love it. Because the way Tua throws, not Tua, because his arm is not super strong, he has to load up and throw the ball when the receiver is like 30 yards down the field. And basically, he's trying to lead him the remaining 20 yards into the ball. What he doesn't do is look and see a guy 40 yards open and think, oh, I got enough arm to throw it closer to 60. That's not his gift. So it's possible when he let the ball go, it was single coverage. And then over the next 20 yards, the safety came over. But I was under the impression that Tua was taking more leadership of the team and that a lot of these throws have been because he's been bad at his leg technique. Like he's not driving the ball from his lower body, so the ball is drifting out of his hand and it's drifting high, which is most of his picks are. That's what I've seen. But maybe Coach Bevel's seeing something different. Or maybe the receivers aren't getting proper depth in their routes. So Tua's throwing, let's say it's like a post, right? Come here, break inside. And that post should be at 15 yards. So Tua's throwing the ball. If he's hitting that outside leg at 15 and breaking upfield, that ball needs to be basically 20 to 22 yards where I'm throwing it. But if he breaks that route at 12, comes inside, I throw the ball at 22, now I'm going to throw higher than I should be because you cut the route short. Now, if that's the case, then that's not on Tua because they practice the routes to be at a certain place, at a certain count, at a certain step number. And if you're not doing what you should be doing, and I'm throwing to a spot, which Tua does most often, he doesn't throw to the man, he throws to a spot. And if you're not in the spot you need to be in, that's how picks happen. And I think that's probably happened a couple times too because Tyreek was so unreasonably fast. The mistake radius was bigger because DBs weren't as close. They were just bailing. So Tyreek can break a route off a yard or two early, and Tua was like, it's fine. There's no one near you to like get the ball. But the rest of our receivers aren't as fast as him, so the coverage is tighter. So inaccurate throw, more punishable, and I think we've seen that on the field. The bottom line is Tua hasn't played his best. We'll see over the last 6 games of the year if he can turn it around. But a lot of finger pointing, excuses, what have you. We just want to play clean. Again, I don't think Tua needs to throw for more than 200 yards. 1 touchdown, no picks. I think if he does that, most of our games we'll have a chance to win. It's the picks that they just take the soul out of the squad, man. So hopefully he can pick his game up. I still believe in Tua, and I would love to see him reward that on the field. But as always, y'all, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank y'all for the likes and the subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.